Shalom, family. My name is Steele, and I go by the name Champagne. My testimony today is shame to Ahayah's glory. I just didn't know where to start. Been having problems. Didn't know how to do this, but here it goes. I remember when I was about 6 years old, the first time something bad ever happened to me. I got hit by a car when I was trying to play this game called Simon Says with a friend of mine named David Green. And he said, "Simon Says, let's run across the street." And I was like, sure. We took off running, and I just couldn't see nothing anymore. I just blacked out. Everything just dark vision. Next thing I knew, I was holding my head, crying. Didn't know where I was. My sister's like, "Oh, you've been hit by a car. Lay down, lay down." They lay me down. Some lady put their jacket over me, and some darker fellow dude looking like me came over in a suit and said, looked at me and told me I was gonna be fine, not to worry about it. When I got home from the hospital that day, my dad gave me licks because I cost him money because of the car and because of the ambulance. You know, I was little at the time, but it is what it is. As time started to progress, we used to get, I used to get into a lot of trouble. I wouldn't listen. The schoolwork that I was doing was like easy because our dad used to give us math and that during the days, during the summer, so we had school all year round, literally. While all the kids are playing outside, we were inside doing homework. So I became real smart. But they started noticing that, I was having problems sitting in class and not paying attention. The work was just too easy for me. That's what it was. Anyways, as I started to get a little older, we moved from Montreal, come over here to Calgary, and it was like, ever since we moved, it's been nothing but hell out here. When we lived in Montreal, there was a lot of multicultural. We had Italians, Greeks living down the neighborhood, Africans, we had everybody. But they were all mixed in. It wasn't like separate, until we came out west. I ain't never seen so much white people in my life. White people and natives. That's all it was out here. And they loved the nigger word, man. They loved it. And every little thing was nigga this, nigga that, until they got socked in the mouth. My dad taught me how to fight, so did my brother. When we were growing up, he took martial arts. So at the time, when he was growing, taking martial arts, he would teach me some things, on what to do to defend myself, which was cool. One day, we were living in Dalhousie area, and my brother was smoking something, and I said, "Hey, if you don't give me some, I'm gonna tell Mom." He's like, "Quiet, get over here, just don't say nothing." And he taught me how to take a couple drags of this thing, and man, it knocked me on my ass. I was hungry for days. So anyways, that was the first time I ever tried herbs. And from then, it was like, wow, I experienced something totally different. When I was in grade 6, I got hit from one of this kid's older brothers. So I remember this kid had called me nigga in class. And I said, "Oh yeah, well, we'll wait till after school, and I'll show you who the nigga is." So after school now, there's a big round, and we're in the middle, and this was literally my first fight, so I was a little scared. I was a lot scared. And I had my dad's gloves on, and when this kid came at me, I just quickly socked him right in the mouth. And he had glasses too, so he was like, "You're not gonna hit the kid with glasses, are you?" I just socked him straight in his mouth, you know? Because if you have enough to call a man nigga, then you got enough to get whopped in your mouth. Straight. Anyway, as time started to progress, my older sister left the house. My brother got kicked out. You know, my dad used to give us a lot of lickings for a lot of things. I just didn't know why it was. My dad used to drink. And, you know, usually during special occasions is when he used to drink. Christmas time and things like that. I'm Seventh-day Adventist, so we didn't really... We used to practice Christmas and all that. So, like, we didn't know, like, back in the day, that it wasn't supposed to be celebrated, because as a kid we did Christmas growing up, you know. And then so now one time, let me see, I was about 12, 13 maybe, and I was going to a private school. I hated the private school. Didn't like it at all. And I noticed that this one morning, I used to watch Hercules in the morning, cartoons. And I used to get all my stuff ready and have my lunch. I was in music at the time, so I used to play tenor sax. So I brought my equipment and left it all by the door, and I had enough time to watch Hercules, get my shoes on. Once the music starts coming at the end, Hercules, it was time to get your stuff and go. So I ran over, grabbed my stuff, and my dad had specifically told me that one morning if I missed the bus, boy. And it just so happened, I'm standing at the bus stop waiting, and the school bus drives right by me. Damn, I started crying. I knew I was in shit. My dad gonna wax my ass because now he thinking I missed the bus. So I go back to the house, and I tried telling. My dad didn't want to hear nothing. He gave me licks, boy. He gave me licks. So I was like, okay, well, you know, I understand. I didn't understand it then. And, you know, at the time I was, you know, with the church, and I like to do this thing called ingathering. And ingathering came up usually around October time, when you go out and you knock on people's door and you ask them for money, you know, to help the needy and the poor during harvest time, right? So anyway, my dad waxed my ass, and then I told him, well, since I'm home, can I go ingathering down to the mall? He's like, sure. You know, at least you keep yourself busy and you ain't doing nothing wrong. So I went out ingathering and must have made something close to like $200-300 that day. And this is back in the day. Go around. Go around. This is back in the day, you know, and it's like, wow. I made more money than the whole church, just me by myself, than the whole church in the whole month put together. And I made literally double what the church brought in. I know the Lord was blessing me at the time when I was doing His work, but I never really saw where I fell off from the church. You know, I kind of went my own way. I noticed when I was going to school, I wasn't loved when I was going to a private school. I was never loved. You know, it was always a problem. Kirk did this, Kirk did that, Kirk the jerk. That's why I don't like the name Kirk. I can't stand it. You know? Anyways, so as time progressed, I got myself kicked out of school. Didn't want to go there. Been telling my mom, well, I don't know why you're paying all this money to go to a private school when I could just go to a public school with the rest of the people. And they're like, why? So you can be with the heathens? I was like, wow, they're better. They love me more than these Seventh-day Adventist people. So, anyways, I ended up going to school. My transition came when I went to Dr. Egbert. Dr. Gladys Knight Egbert. Man, junior high. First day walking to school and I'm in the field and I hear this white kid, hey, Tyrone! Hey, Tyrone! I keep walking. I'm looking around. Ain't nobody else in the field but me and this kid. So I turn around and he's like, wait, wait. The kid runs up to me. He's like, oh, man, I thought you were my boy Tyrone. You look just like him. But he left. Him and his family moved. So I was like, okay. Ever since, bam, Tyrone stuck. And it's been, even now, I have people calling me Tyrone because they still never knew who I was from before. That was the name that just stuck. Tyrone. Tyrone did this. Tyrone did that. That name got so big. The streets started fearing the name Tyrone to the point that I had to change my name. Actually, I didn't change my name. The name got changed for me. And I'll explain how. So, in junior high, that started going. When I got to from grade 6, they had actually bounced me to grade 8 because they said I was too smart for the level of grade 7. So I went straight to from grade 6 to grade 8. And things was good. Graduated grade 9, went to grade 10. In grade 9 though, the year of graduation, because I've been getting in and out of trouble, getting in trouble, fights, a lot of fights at school, that my one grade 9 teacher, because I was in this BA class, behavioral adaptation class. This is for all the kids that, was fighting, had problems, not learning disability, because I was already surpassed everybody else, but, just couldn't be. The students that had too much energy more than the other kids. So they put me to this class. And at a graduation, my grad teacher, he had told me, he goes, if I don't slow down, that I'm going to be learning the School of Hard Knocks. And I was like, the School of Hard Knocks? The hell is that? He's like, you'll figure it out soon enough. I never knew what he meant until the change started happening. So when the time I got to, the ending of grade 9, I had linked with some boys now. Started learning I had known some kids up in the high schools. Started hanging around. It was around that time, 14, 15, 16 years old. I started leaving the house, running away, wanting to do my thing. All the parties started happening Friday nights, which was Friday night sundown. Sabbath starts, and it's like, oh, man, the school dance is going on. You got this party going on, people calling you, and here I gotta go to church Saturday morning. And I'm like, man. So one day, grade 10. This was grade 9, 1989. And I go and I get my boy to call my mom and tell her that I got kidnapped. Oh, shit. Man, my mom's goes and star 69 the number. Here, we're thinking we're genius. We got this on pat. Told him there was a van that pulled up. Tree boys jumped out, grabbed me, threw me in the van, and took off. All because I wanted to go to this dance. So, we took off. Head to the party. And head to the school dance, St. Francis. And they had battles, dance battles. Now, I used to dance a lot. So, I was part of the dance battle that was going on. So, here we go, taking off, heading to the dance. I already got change of clothes, set it up my boy's place, changed up. We at the dance now. And Too Legit to Quit starts coming on. And I'm busting moves, shaking leg, and doing my thing. All of a sudden, I feel this tap on my shoulder. I'm like, yo, you can wait for the next dance, because I was dancing with this girl. And then next thing now, I feel this tap again. And I'm like, nigga, didn't I tell you to wait? Turn around. It's my dad. I couldn't believe it. My dad shows up at the dance. Okay? Now, my dad's like 5'1", about 180 pounds. Big nigga. Okay? He wasn't small. This nigga was thick. And my dad was like, he just looked at me. And I knew. I was like, yo, I gotta go. My dad's walking me out the dance. You know how embarrassing that is? Damn. My dad walks me out of the dance to see a carload full of parents. My mom, my other auntie Molly and Roy and Vera. And they're all paranoid, looking for me, worried because they thought I got kidnapped. And my mom's like, you think you slick? You think you slick? We star 69 that number and found your black ass and talked to the mom, and the mom told us that she just dropped you guys off at the dance. So you made up all this story just to go to the dance. I said, 'cause I knew you wouldn't let me go. Man, I got grounded. I got grounded for like 2 months. Couldn't do nothing. So time started going off till I started getting curfew. Then I bounced out and I started linking up with some of these cats now. And I remember one time we went to this dance and these cats was like, yo, you gotta come meet this nigga Al Fernandez. Because he's one of the crew, the members of the gangs that's here. He's a Crip. So I'm like, what? I was like, nice. Now, back in them times, you have Tupac just starting to come out. Digital Underground already out. Tupac coming out. You have all these other cats, Run DMC, the old school that was coming out, everything Walk This Way was just pumping. So here the dance battles started pumping off. Sir Mix-a-Lot, Eric B and Rakim, pumping you some old school now. And all these dances pumping off. It was sick. I loved it. I started getting into the music heavy and hot, to the point that everything was nice. So, by 89 now, I get crewed up. I meet up with these guys at their apartment. And this is what set it off. When I went to their spot, they're asking me, so, little nigga, what can you do? I was like, I don't know. I can do enough. I ain't done shit. The only thing I've done is stole some chocolate bars. I don't know nothing. So he's like, okay, here. He gives me this knife that's sharp on both edges. And he says, go get some money. I'm like, all right. So I get downstairs of the apartment and I start looking around and I'm now, what to do? And it's like close to 17th Ave. So I start walking around and I see this lady come out this bank. So I start following her and I tail her. And she's getting closer to this apartment door. And she goes into her bag and she's facing the door and she's trying to unlock the door. And I creep up right behind her, hand over her mouth, from behind, knife to her throat. I'm 15 years old. And I said, be quiet. Don't say nothing. I don't want to hurt you. The only thing I want is your money. That's it. You know, to this day, I feel bad for that woman. Because I can imagine I scared the shit right out of her. Anyway, she gave me the money. I told her, take your time. And I kind of jammed my finger in her back. And I said, this is the gun. And I kind of made that noise to sound like I cock it back. And I said, if you turn around, you're going to get blasted. I said, if you want to live, just go in and pretend nothing this happened. As soon as she went in, I turned around and hightailed that bitch out of there. I ran so fast, I ran straight up to the apartment. Now, she gave me a stack of money, and I put a lot of money in my balls, and I kept only a few bills and kept it in my pocket. So I run up to the apartment, and I'm like, yo, I got the money. And he's like, okay, give it to me. And he takes the knife, and he's like, okay, no, nigga, you did good. Now we'll see you on the next run. So I was like, all right. So I grab my jacket. Mind you, I'm smart, nigga. I switch my jackets and used one of theirs. And then put my jacket back on and flew downstairs. So when I started to leave, I hear sirens coming. I'm like, yo, I gotta get the fuck up out of here. So I bounce. And I hightail it out of there. Excuse my language. And then I hightail it out of there. And when I hightail it out of there, I gone. So I think everything is gully. And I head down to the teen dance. No, this was in 1988. So I head down into the teen dance. And Christmas time, and it was the Christmas dance. And man, I get there and I'm thinking everything's fresh. There's this girl, Juliana, I was going out with, and she came with me, so we're looking fly. Okay, I got a stack of money. I just bought new gear, stitches, and everything was nice. I get there, and all of a sudden, these cats are like, yo, Alan wants to talk to you. So I'm like, all right. So I roll up, and they're like, yo, stand right here. All of a sudden, Alan comes over and punches me dead in the face. And I'm like, bang, head ricochets off the wall. I'm like, what the fuck, nigga? And he's like, yo, you know you draw heat onto us? And came back and pow, hits me again. So I have no clue what's going on. I didn't know cops rolled up on these cats and busted them all and raided them. So here I have to turn around and catch the heat for it. So out of the swoop, there's probably about 15, 16 niggas that got dipped on this beef. So I go in, I get my mom's. Now he's threatened to do up my family and that. I was young, mind you, at this time. So I go and I call my mom's. I'm like, yo, mom, you know, I'm in a little bit of a jam and I need a lawyer. So she's like, okay. She gets me a lawyer. I go and I tell this lawyer, okay, listen, there's a robbery that went down. I want to take these niggas off it. That way it could save me face and grace, and my parents are not going to get touched, right? None of my family. So we go in. I cop a deal. I get 3 months for this armed robbery. 3 months close custody for this armed robbery. I'm only 15 years old now at the time. Okay, I was 14 when it happened. 15 when I got charged. No, 15 when it happened, 16 when I got charged because I was juvie. I was still 15, got sentenced after I was 16. So, I was still a minor. So I go to jail now and this close custody, and I knew some of these cats that was already in here because I went to school with them. I'm like, what? What's going on? Eric, Chad, Chris, Jake, y'all in here too? Man, I was like, what? This is nice. So time was going by smooth, and they kept telling me about the ropes and whatnot in there. We were, for being in the juvie, we were doing good. I was doing real good actually. And my mom used to come down and bring me clothes, buy me clothes. So I would have clothes. I would have cases of pop coming in. And these guys, I kind of felt bad because some of them didn't have nobody coming to drop off nothing for them. So I would hook them up on the food that my mom was bringing. So because I was Seventh-day Adventist and I didn't eat pork, my mom was allowed to bring food for me down there. So she would bring me food. And these guys would be like vexed because here I'm getting home cooked meals all up in the jail. And, I'm living like king. While these cats are all kind of like coming to me, and it didn't bother me none because my mom shared a lot, and she taught that to us that when you have, you share. So I shared with everybody that was in there and became like a kingpin. Once that juvie that was in Strathmore, I didn't go to the real jail. It was like a Strathmore jail on the outside because it was my first time. After that, things just started going downhill. Started stealing cars. And when I started stealing cars, I became the wheelman behind the car. I didn't want nobody else driving. I had to drive. Didn't matter. I had the gloves, and my first time ever learning how to drive, my brother had this friend. I don't know if he was a friend, but this guy was a real piece of shit. And I ain't never told nobody this before. But I remember one time that my brother was working out in Kananaskis. Or no, this guy was working out in Kananaskis, and he played himself to be some kind of money man, but this guy was just a huge scam artist. And he was out in Kananaskis, and he was like, Tony had told me that, I guess he had said something to Tony about working out there, and I was like, yeah, I'll work out there. Kananaskis is nice. I've been out there a couple times already, a few stolen cars. So I decided to head up there. And man, one night, so I'm looking and he's like, so I'm like, where am I going to stay? He's like, oh yeah, you can stay here on the couch. And then I was like, okay. But I didn't know this guy was faggot, man. And yeah, this guy tried pulling off my shorts when I was out there, and straight, if I would have saw this nigga again, this fucking white boy, I would have killed his ass. Straight up. He would have been dead. I never was able to see him again because I think Ahayah would have knew my heart that I would have murdered this guy. Straight up. He was dead as gold. To come find out that he did the same thing to me that he did to my nephew. And because my nephew had aired it out, I didn't. And I kept that shit to myself for the longest time. Till now. Kept that to myself till now. Ever since then, I hated any kind of faggot. Any kind of dude that tried to play the faggot role on me, you're getting punched out. I became judge, executioner at the same time. Didn't matter. You were queer, you're getting it. You were getting it. So time started to move on. I started getting deeper into the game. I started to get to know about cocaine and the price of cocaine. My brother taught me a lot in this game. But the only way he showed me was once. He showed me how to roll a joint or a spliff one time. That was it. If I missed it, that's it. He wasn't showing me again. So I paid attention. I paid attention a lot to a lot of things. I learned to be quiet. When you're in a room with a bunch of people you don't know, you keep silent. You pay attention. You watch what's around you. Learn people vibes. That's what I did. I started to learn people, to understand them, to see. And when I got into the coke game, it was a whole different game. The coke game was the money game. I started off first with the weed. I used to sell a lot of weed, and during selling the weed, I thought I was doing people a service because I was the man with the bomb shit. You wasn't getting no garbage off of me. Even up to now, I got the prime of the prime. And this is my fault, It's all my fault. Because I didn't know the ways of how I was supposed to really be doing this properly. I didn't really get the good angles, With the doctrines of the Seventh-day Adventists that we were learning, it wasn't embedded to us exactly what we were really supposed to be as children of God, So when I went my own way, and the Almighty is watching over me, here I'm thinking, I'm invincible, Like, yeah, things happen, but I felt untouchable. Like nothing could happen to me. So I started walling out. Started getting into the cars, started getting into the guns, and was loving it. This whole scene became my thing. When I was incarcerated, I spent literally half my life behind bars. And when I was incarcerated, I started writing poems. That was my first thing, poems. Poems would let me release how I was feeling. And from the poems, I started putting it, because all my poems rhymed. So I started putting it into like a song, and started spitting it. And once the rap music started coming and everything started blowing up, from Grandmaster Flash, from when they first started out, to Public Enemy start rolling in, to Boogie Down Productions, to who else? King T, right? To all these cats and they are spitting lyrics, and I'm like, yo, I can do this too. I write poetry. How can I not spit lyrics? So I started getting into the music and writing rhymes and started spitting. But wasn't hitting it nowhere. Just selling my trees and spitting off rhymes to people that will hear, right? And then till I got into the crack game. Was selling powder before. Everything was all soft. Until I was taught exactly how to cook. I used to start seeing people smoke the shit, but I never knew how they got it like that. until I was shown. Once I was shown, I perfected and mastered the crack game. My motto was guaranteed ringer or your money back. That's how much I stand behind my product and what I chefed and what I cooked and the high that I knew people would have got off. Because once they smoked, it was game over. I know they ain't getting their money back because they're ringing right off the hop that they took a hoot off of my stuff. So that became the whole thing right there. By 1991, I was into the crack game. No, I wasn't into the crack game till about 93. About 91, I was into the armed robberies though, because I started fueling to fund the weed. So, when sometimes you catch a hit, you lose product, or, cops catch your stash, you got to re-up. How are you going to re-up when you just lost your inventory? So, you got to make your money back. I thought that was the best way how. So, anyway, pulled off robberies, got in and out, was in and out till about 93. Then I started in 93. That's when I got introduced to the crack game, because powder started going now. And when New Jack City, the movie, came out, and it was like everybody started blowing up in the crack business, everybody started about this crack. It's just flooded. Calgary didn't know nothing about nothing until we first came along. We flooded the streets. Had everybody and their dog, lawyers, doctors, all smoking, and coming to work, all high, calling me at work, telling me they need some shit, but to be discreet about it, so I know people always want to be discreet. That's the thing. Nobody wants to know that they're doing this or doing that, because it's a secrecy thing. The drug game is a secrecy thing. Nobody wants to know that they're getting high. Nobody wants to admit that they're getting high. Nobody wants to admit that they're doing drugs, period. Regardless of the situation that you're looking at, nobody wants to admit it. But 3/4 of the world gets high. Straight. That's the one thing that people don't understand. And I always thought, being a drug dealer, that if they don't come to me, they're going to go to somebody else. And that money that I could have put in my pocket is gone now. I didn't have love for people that wanted to get high. I never thought about, the families that they have, the money that they're spending to come get high with me, give me their money so they can get high, is the money that they're taking out from their kid's mouth. I wasn't looking at it like that. I was looking at, you're feeding me. You're feeding me now. I got bills to pay. I got things to do. I want a car and all that too. So things just started to go haywire, man. To the point that I started seeing all these hoes. All the hoes started to love me now because, I was the ice cream man. So in 93, we pull off. I do this car heist, and we get pinched on a high speeder. Okay, I tried bolting. In Calgary, it fresh snow, so We didn't have the chopper at the time, but they followed the tracks and they brought the dogs, found me, got pinched, was up on a theft, and this nigga that I was with knew these couple hoes and they wanted to work track, but they asked me if they can use my name. I was like, yeah, you can use my name, but I ain't getting no dividends. So how's that gonna be? So they're like, well, we need somebody to protect us. So when I was inside, I knew this next nigga that was there. He was going up on like racketeering, kidnapping, home invasion, a whole bunch of shit. And I told him, yo, I got these two girls that's, they're working right now, but they need somebody to work with. They're independent and they need a name. And they just don't want to get jacked by any other suckers out here. So, sorry about that. My boy's like, yeah, I can hook it up. He goes, what do you want out of it? I said, bind me up, man. I said, I'm going to the pen, or I'm going back to jail. Now I need something at least that way I can have some things like some trees, hash, load up. That way I can go in and be in the inside with some dope. That way, I can buy my canteen, buy everything that I need in case mom doesn't come true, right? So he lines me up with a package. The girl goes, makes money, and gets pinched. Oh my word, I couldn't believe it. This girl gets busted because her uncle is an ex-cop. So I'm like, oh man, what do I do? What do I do? So they come and they charge me. They charge me with living off the avails of prostitution. These girls ain't never send me no money. They send my boy money. They never gave me no money. But I took the rap anyway because I didn't need my man getting more hassles. Plus, I didn't want to go provincial jail no more after doing the round trip in Alberta already. I knew they had it out for me, so I said, well, if I go to the pen, things will be better. So I get 2.5 years, and off I went. They shipped me out to Winnipeg. That way I can go up there to go do my time. So I was like, okay, couple provinces away. And it was a whole different ballgame when I went there, man. A whole different ballgame. This whole time that here I'm running on my own, still not knowing that Ahayah's got my back. Still not knowing that he's got my back. I'm so ever grateful that I'm still alive today. We went to the pen, and in 1995, in 1995, just before I'm getting out, there's a native guy that was inside, and he started wilding out on one of the brothers that was there, trying to get his paperwork and that, because his brother was in for a murder beef, and he got life 10, and they thought that he had raped the girl and killed her because the girl was supposed to be an ex-girlfriend, and then when they found the girl, she had no clothes on. That was the whole deal. So he wanted to try and get all the gangs to creep up and try and take out all the niggas inside. There was only about, out of a population of 650 people, there was about 20 brothers in that whole jail. And not everybody was together, Not everybody was together. So, excuse me. So, Carlisle and Curtis, Curtis had just come in. He was doing 7 years for manslaughter, was looking at appeal to get 4 years knocked off. And then this boy came up. And I got out. 2 days later, that boy got stabbed up and dead in his cell. You understand? And usually, when in Canada, if a brother is gonna take another guy out, you catch him first thing in the morning while that boy's sleeping. And then you usually give him some pills or something the night before. So then he's really sleeping by the time morning comes. You know, because they usually don't wake up in the mornings. And you just go in and poke him up right in his sheets and leave him there for dead. Close his door, walk out. That's what happened. Until they call lockdown. You know? And that's what happens. That boy ended up dead. The boy ended up dead, man. All because he was dope simple. I've seen a lot of dope simple cats in my life. I remember there's this one big white boy. Big. Like 240, 250. Big. And strong, powerful. And there was a French Newfie guy that came in. Not knowing that this little Newfie guy was a patched HA, Hell's Angel. And this Mike guy goes and tries to muscle the little Newfie, telling him this and that, and next thing we find out, little Newfie checks in. Word goes out on the street that this big Mike checked in this little Newfie guy. And a package came in. And I know some yayo. See, when it comes to the yayo and the inside, I never touched. When it comes to the pills, never touch. You know, I'll bun a little trees in that, but that's usually before bed. I don't usually get high and then run around in that, because you gotta be on guard, man. You gotta know, because you never know who's gonna try and poke you. You never know who's gonna try and poke you. So it was like, yeah, when the package came in, they just sent him a package under his door, and like an idiot, he comes and he finds it coming home back from gym. And he's like, oh, nice, I found a package, blah, blah, blah. And he goes and he does the package, and he ends up dead. Right? This big fucking boy, man, ends up dead. Why? Because he does needles. That was another easy way of taking people out, was with the dope. Because you have a lot of dope simple motherfuckers up in there, you know? Excuse my language. Please, excuse my language. So, it's been just crazy. It's been so hard talking about this. I never experienced that I would be able to tell people my life, tell people exactly what's going on, and how things like this became about. But I could see now, as I'm older, and that I have kids, and that my kids are with me, that I totally changed up my whole life, changed up my whole period. You know, it's been a rough go. It's been a rough go. By 1997, No, 1996 I got out. Stony Mountain. That was the year Tupac died. Oh man. All hell broke loose on the streets when that nigga died, man. Enough people was getting capped up, busting shots, and this is all up in Winnipeg, so things started popping off when Tupac died, man. You know? And I left Winnipeg, had met this girl, came out here, out back west. I had a son earlier, back before I went in 94. He was born, never got to know him. So by 96, got out, was with this girl for a little bit, had her here in Calgary, and got messed up right back into the crack game again. Started pumping out, and the one thing that I should have never did was get high on my own supply. Shit, I messed up then, man. Once that came in, I hit total rock bottom. I never thought I'd be explaining this to anybody either. I've seen the bottom, the pits, but I never lived on the streets. I never got myself that far because I wasn't about to be homeless, on the street, have nothing. Yeah, I stayed at a few people's spot here and there, but I only stayed there just so I can line up my next robbery, so I can get money. Lived in hotels, lived everywhere, been on the run for so long. So by 97, 98, that's when Master P started coming in. The dope game. We're already flossing heavy in that now. The crack game took over big time. As you see, it flooded the streets now. And, this cat that I knew, this D guy, used to do business with, one day he shorted me. And he was charging me weight, literally almost $10 on the point, which was money, man. So I hear I'm getting a game, and he's charging me straight. So I'm like, dog, it better be all here, man, because you're charging me heavy. He's like, it is. So when I call him back and tell him he shorted me, he's like, oh, I'll make it up on the next run. So I was like, all right. The next run comes in, same thing. So I was like, man, forget this nigga. We don't take his ass out. Now, this nigga got greedy into the game. So I was like, enough of this. So we strapped up. Got this girl to call this nigga to do a load, because now I know he doesn't want to deal with me, right? And we just set his ass up, man. Told him bring an ounce and a half. He brought 2, and we just jacked his ass. I pistol whipped him, got his shit. We left. And by about 1998, that was 97. In 98, I got out again and was with baby mom's, Lexi at this time. And we were walking downtown, and I said, hey, let's stop into a pub here. I wanted to get a drink. And we started playing pool, and I seen D's partner and this next cat, this jeweler that I know. So I knew they jumped on the phone to call and let this nigga know that I was there. So Michelle, she's like, let's go. And I'm like, nah, man, I ain't afraid of these niggas, man. Fuck. Let's just deal with this shit and get it over with, right? So he comes rolling in right on 17th Ave, masked up. He's got a gat in hand, and he's like, come, nigga, come with me. And I'm like, yo. So I told Michelle just bounce. I said, I'll be back. So now I didn't know what was going on, but I knew these niggas was trying to do me something. So they like grabbed me and drove me out to the outskirts. And he's like, yo, you done fucked up my head, blah, blah, blah. And that's when he came over and cut up my face. Man, I've been looking for this nigga ever since. Till about a couple of years ago. He came and saw me at the church. One of the churches that my sister was going to. And then this nigga comes over and says he wants to apologize and ask me for forgiveness. I couldn't believe this nigga was asking me for forgiveness. I left. I didn't say nothing to him. I was just like, yeah, whatever, man. I left, man. I wanted to gut this guy like a fish. I wanted to gut him. I still wasn't seeing the Most High, even though I've been through so much. I still wanted to hurt this guy, because of what he had done to me. He had first ripped me off, then come back to try and make a mark on me. Man. Anyways, Ahayah has been so good to me, man. He saved my life numerous times that I didn't know why he saved my life. I had no clue on why he was saving me. But I know he is everything, man. Ahayah is my everything. I can't praise him enough. This is one of the most hardest things I would ever do. I wanted to be in the limelight, to be big, known, like Tupac, Master P, NWA. I wanted to be big. I wanted to be famous. But I never thought I was going to be famous getting shot. I never thought I'd be famous getting shot. I love Ahayah. Ahayah is the greatest. And I'm going to walk his life now and forevermore. Shalom, family. I'll be back again. Peace.